Thai boxing. Thai boxing. Come see the Thais, watch how they fight with just everything. Their hands and feet and bows and knees. This is an art of boxing you would all love to learn.
Hi guys, I'm here with Kickboxing Stage and host of the kickfighting podcast, Au Bord du Ring, Luca Bourdon. For those of you who don't know him, he's known for being perhaps the world's biggest Wonderboy Thompson fan. Yeah, and today we're going to walk you through... I had to make that joke, I'm sorry. I legally had to at least once. But today we're going to go over the recent Festa card, and later we'll talk a little bit about Crush 112 and a couple other fights. So Festa was really good. I was kind of disappointed in the card at first. It looked like there weren't a lot of strong matchups. Most of their stars seemed to be put in squash matches. But there was a lot of competitive fights, a lot of really fun finishes. Most of the fights were really great, a lot of fun brawls. How would you evaluate the card overall?
I think it actually was made better by coronavirus. Somehow. Because I really liked the card. At first I was disappointed, and in all the matchups, to me it was basically a Thai fight card called K1. Like, you know, the Japanese stars and opponents put there to lose.
Yeah.
And particularly the main event, the original main event, which was supposed to be Takeru versus Adam Borou, with Moroccan, but I think it runs here in France. And they had to replace him with Petchdam. What's his fight?
Petchdam, Petch, I think.
Petch, yeah.
I thought, when I heard the matchup at first, I thought it was like the actual Petchdam, so I was really excited. I was like, oh shit, this is a great fight. But then I realized it was like an imposter Petchdam who I'd never heard of.
Yeah, he's not that bad. He's like, he fights in like what I call the second tier of Muay Thai. Like
Channel 7.
Channel 7 and Channel 8, yeah. But it's not that bad for him. It's not like a bad. I don't think it's a bad profile to fight international, because they fight a lot of phalanx in those type of cards.
Yeah, that's true. Have you watched any of Petchdam's Muay Thai fights?
Yeah, I watched like 2 or 3 fights. I think I saw him fight a Russian. He looked pretty good, but he got dropped. Yeah, I think he's a guy. I mean, with a bit more. The problem with Thai guys they put in K1 these days is they don't give them tune-up fights to get used to the rules.
Yeah, they just throw them against like the J kickers, the stars who actually know how to fight kickboxing, who've done it for years. I watched one of Petchdam's Muay Thai fights against some white dude in, I think, like Super Champ or whatever.
Yeah,
and he looked good, but a lot of what he was doing was like pressure clinching and elbows. So I'm not sure if that's his style usually, but if he usually fights like that, it seems like the kind of matchup that you could just like take a decent Thai and throw them against a kickboxer and be like, hey, this guy's pretty good. It's impressive for Takeru to beat him, even though he like doesn't really do kickboxing things.
Yeah, that was like that was the Youth Kitsada fight.
Yeah.
I mean, on paper you have Takeru beating a Rajadamnian champion. But if you actually watch Kitsada, all he does is rear leg kicking, a right hand, and then he's just clinching and elbows.
Yeah.
So he actually had no way to trouble Takeru in kickboxing.
So in the Takeru Petchdam fight, that went about how we would all expect. Takeru started harassing Petchdam with his lead leg a bit, doing the like tricky inside leg kicks where he wasn't committing enough for Petchdam to like really check and counter them. He was just kind of staying a step away from them and throwing those light, non-committal kicks out. And then when Petchdam tried to counter with his harder kicks, Takeru would just slide out of the way. In the second round, Petchdam got a bit more aggressive and started trying to pressure box, and then just got caught with a counter and knocked clean out. So that was about par for the course of a Takeru fighting a clinchy Thai.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did against Yokitsada.
Yeah.
I liked I like what he did in the first round, and I think Petchdam throws a tip and then a left middle, and he caught it and went with the left hook to close the distance. I think that was nice.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I was actually really sorry. Go ahead.
You go ahead.
I was actually really impressed with the other Thai here. Well, I guess there was a few, but Dansiam, who fought Yoshiki Takei, he looked really good.
Yeah, he was the best Thai on the card anyway, because I think just let me check his playlist. I think he fought like lower top 10 Thais in Raja, I think.
Has he fought kickboxing a lot before? Because it seemed like I could see him working out how to actually fight in kickboxing as the fight went on.
As far as I know, it was his first one, but yeah, I had the same. I just watched the fight, and yeah, I think like if you could figure out like a good jab middle kick, especially against orthodox fighters, I think he'd do really great in Muay Thai, in kickboxing.
Yeah, Dansiam is one that I want to see fight a little bit more in kickboxing because I haven't seen him fight in Muay Thai, so I'm not like attached to him as a Muay Thai fighter that I don't want to see leave for international rules. But he started the fight doing the normal Thai who's uncomfortable in kickboxing thing. He was just throwing round kicks to the closed side, so they were like bouncing off Takei's arm and back, and it looked like he was really uncomfortable. But as the fight progressed, he started timing the kicks better. So he would wait until Takei like came forward and squared up to throw the kicks on the counter, so they'd like land across the body rather than just sliding off the back. And he like caught on to Takei's punches and was doing a better job countering them. Takei was countering his body kicks with a left hook, and he'd start to like anticipate it and lean back. He started to like punch off his kicks, so he'd throw the round kick to the body and then like come forward with punches or feint the round kick and punch. So you could see him like learning how to fight in kickboxing and getting a lot more comfortable as the fight went on. Yeah, I think if he can develop some boxing, a jab, some counterpunching, and maybe do a little bit more work with his lead leg, so throw like switch kicks.
Yeah, I think if he figures out how to link punches with kicks, he could do a lot of damage, especially since he had a southpaw against him, like Takei is a southpaw. But against an orthodox fighter, I think he would have really given some guys some problems.
Yeah, the southpaw matchup definitely threw him off a little bit there. But he was even like even with him being visibly uncomfortable in kickboxing, he was really competitive with Takei. He won the third round, and I thought if he was able to fight the rest of the fight like he did in the third round, he'd have maybe been able to win the fight. And Takei is really good.
Yeah,
he's one of the better fighters in this division. So go ahead.
He's the best fighter in this division, even though he struggled lately against Thais. But yeah, what the fuck was I saying? Completely forgot. So yeah, Dansiam. Yeah, Takei is the best fighter at 55 kilos, and fuck. So yeah, but I think if he had a chance, like Pet Mangan, I had the same opinion about like when he fought Masashi Kimura.
Yeah.
A guy that finally found what I was saying. Yeah, I think Takei won, and that was what I was saying when we recorded the French podcast with Baba earlier today. I think he only won because he had the advantage of the rules.
Yeah.
Like you give Dansiam five fights against second tier Japanese fighter. So it's a very, 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 very different fight against Takei.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of excited for Dansiam if he keeps fighting kickboxing and K1 keeps signing him. Because I was surprised, like, you usually don't see someone who's not used to kickboxing do that well. And especially considering he barely had any weapons. Like, he was literally just throwing the closed side round kick to the body and then punching off it later. So if he develops his boxing a little bit, I think he could really do big things there.
Yeah, and he's big for the weight too.
Sorry, what was that?
And he's big for the weight too.
Yes, yeah, looked massive against Takei. And Takei did a good job too. He was like picking up his lead leg to feint front kicks and driving Dancian back to the ropes, and then he'd open up with body shots. He's also doing a really good job countering his body kick with lead hooks to the body. So he'd take it on his forearm and then immediately fire back with a body hook. So that was a really good competitive fight. How about Minoru Kimura? I don't know. I'm not familiar with any of the guys in the GP aside from Kimura and Kato.
Yeah.
But why don't you go through some of the guys like in the quarterfinals and semis and like tell us a little bit about their careers and how good they are, because I'm not really sure about the level of competition that Kimura went through here.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't great. It was pretty decent. Kato is like, I think he's 8-2 coming into the fight, something like that. And big puncher, but a bit sloppy. It was really an opponent made for Kimura to get first round knockout and advance to the semis. But Eder Lopez who knocked out Jinbu Katsuya was not really good. But Eder Lopez is interesting. I think he's like 22, Portuguese guy. He beat John Wenpar in Bellator this year, and I think I don't recall who he fought, but did you see the Petrosyan last fight?
Petrosyan's last fight, was that against I forget his name, but yeah, I think so.
Gaëtan Dambo.
Oh yeah, I did.
French guy, tough guy, but not really on the level to fight Petro.
Yeah.
And he fought a decent guy on that undercard and did pretty well. So yeah, it's pretty promising. Big left hook. I think he had a big left hook KO in Unfusion last year. So yeah, promising fighter, lot of power. Not really proven at that level, but I think he's got some potential for the rest of his career, and I'll keep an eye on him. And he got knocked out brutally in the semis by Kimura. Kido fought Milan Palace in the quarters and knocked him out in the second, which was really surprising to me because I think Kido is a good vet, but Milan Palace was my favorite to take the whole thing.
Kido's like 37 now, isn't he?
Yeah, 37. And his last two wins were big surprises for me. I didn't think he'd get by the Spanish guy Antonio Gomez, I think. Fought in Glory. I think he fought Marat Grigorian and John C. in Glory. And did pretty well.
Yeah.
Though he lost. But yeah, Milan Palace.
Kido Paula's fight here was good. Kido like smacked him with two big head hooks in the second round, and the second one just knocked him out. It's a fun fight.
Yeah. And yeah, Milan Palace is a good fighter. A lot of experience in Unfusion. I think he's like 50 he's got like 50 fights. He lost to Nordin Benmo. I think you know him. He's famous for his fight with Mohamed Jaria in 2016. Yes. And he got robbed against Benmo, I thought. So yeah, I was surprised because he was supposed to be a guy I thought would do really well, but once he got out, I think he got dropped with a high kick by Kido.
Yeah.
And then he just went to war, and it wasn't really a good idea because there was like a minute and a half left in the round, and he got knocked out. So
yeah, he was doing well early, but then yeah, like you said, he got dropped for leg kick and then just started kind of just banging with him.
Yeah, which I mean I understand it because it's 3-1 and you got dropped by a Japanese guy. You don't have a lot of options to win the decision.
You're not gonna win the fight on the cards. How about Hiromi Wajima? I was pretty impressed with him in the quarter and semi fights.
Yeah, he's a good fighter. I think he was. It's not really a good division for Japan right now, 70 kilos. But I think he's the most promising guy. I think he'd lost to Minoru once already. Like a year ago, but he was on a good streak. And yeah, he's a solid guy. I think he had a crush title. I think his last losses were Minoru and Jordan Picker.
He looked good against Avatar, Tormosri, and Kato in his first two fights. Against Mosri, Avatar, Tormosri kind of like sat on the ropes and did the tie thing where they're like not really comfortable in kickboxing and they're expecting to win the fight just by like defending kicks on the ropes and landing clean body kicks. But Wajima was kind of picking him off with his jab and lead uppercut. And he finished him with a kick to the rear leg, which was nice. And then the Kato fight, he just walked him down and beat the shit out of him.
Yeah,
using jabs to force Kato into like a high guard and then pounding his body.
Yeah, he's a really talented fighter. I like his boxing and I like his pressure in general.
Yeah, and then when he fought Kimura just whomped him right away with like 2 counter lead hooks.
Yeah, but I think he was done from his corner at the towel in and before the fight even started.
He spent 3 rounds having to beat the shit out of Kato, throwing a lot of volume, and Kimura was just dusting everyone in like 30 seconons.
Yeah,
was this the fastest Grand Prix win out of anyone for Kimura, or was
I think Takeru was pretty fast. And if you go back to every K1, I think Arts in 94 is really, really fast. And Semi-Shield in 09.
But I think Kimura spent like only a couple minutes in the ring total. He knocked out Kato
in 2 minutes. Yeah, and he knocked Eder Lopez really fast, like 1 minute. Yeah, it might be. But I think there's like heavyweight tournament that might have went quicker. I think like the record, I think is like 8 minutes or something. So yeah, it might be below that.
Yeah, it was a really impressive night for Minoru Kimura. He has kind of almost a karate boxer style where he does the like bouncing in and out of range thing, but then sets up big blitzes with it. So he's good at like drawing kicks when he's fighting a kicky guy, and a lot of, especially like the Eder Lopez fight, he would feint the bounces in and out, and then Lopez would try to throw his kicks, and then they'd miss, and then Kimura would be able to close him down. I also really like how he kind of sets up his blitzes. He uses the bouncy footwork, and he enters with a lot of body punches, like just leading right away with the left hook or right hook to the body. But he's such a big puncher that it works well. Because when the guy he's fighting sees him fold over his lead leg to set up the body hook, they're expecting the right hand because he does a lot of those like jumping in with right hands.
Yeah.
And whereas a lot of fighters trying to lead with a body hook from out of range, they get countered with the right hand. But Kimura, the right hand is such a big threat that he can fold over his lead hip and then come in with a body shot, and the opponent will shell up from the right hand. He was doing a lot of that here. His body shots were really good, and he was putting body-head combos together really well. So I was really impressed with him here.
Yeah, I was really impressed with him at 70 kilos. I think we didn't really have time to see if it's done, but I think being at 70 kilos and not cutting so much weight, because it's ridiculous that he ever made 65 kilos. I think like Whittaker in MMA, when he went from welter to middleweight.
Yeah,
I think his chin is gonna improve, and his cardio is gonna improve, and I think he's not gonna get like the losses like against Noiri or Kau, where you know it's not like he's cleanly disconnected by the punches, but it just can't take him because he's so drained from the weight.
Yeah, it's like when they move up in weight, a lot of times guys will get faster and they'll start to seem like more heavy-handed because they're doing a better job at like landing clean. And the guys they're fighting aren't seeing their punches as well. I think that was like the big thing with Whittaker too, as well as just getting better. But who do you want to see Kimura fight from here? Who are the better guys at 170 that he might match up with well?
At 70 kilos, ideally he'd fight Shingiz Alazov, but I don't think he's coming back to K1. So yeah, it's gonna be tough to find opponents for him. I think you're gonna see K1 go outside the organization to find opponents.
Not a lot of guys in K1 at 70.
No, I think Eder Lopez that was his first time. Ian Palais, that was his first time. Niklas Larsen was supposed to fight. He was replaced by Tormosri, Avatar. And yeah, it's not like they can't really keep guys. They had I mean, maybe Peker goes up again.
Yeah, the organization split in kickboxing is really frustrating. I think kickboxing, more than any other combat sport I watch, has like the top guys spread between a lot of different organizations, and it's really hard to set up fights between top guys.
Yeah, because especially at 70 kilos, you have Glory, who have like Marat, Tijani Bestati, and guys like that. City China, but I don't know for how long. And you've got one who've got Petrosyan. They just signed Superbon and Typhoon Oscan. And I think Shingiz might sign with them soon because they're the guy who pay now. That's where the money is. So yeah, I think it's pretty tough to predict who is gonna find next, because if you've got Shingiz coming in, winning a Grand Prix, and then he fucks around. Fights a lot in France, Shingiz.
So what did you think of Taiyo Asihisa's performance over Kenta Hayashi?
Oh, it was fantastic.
That was amazing. I've never seen Asahisa before, but I loved him.
Yeah, I loved him. A couple of fights ago, he fought Riku Anpo, who was in the 57 kilo GP 6 months ago, and he had the same type of performance. Then he lost to Petas, who's really good, and he's probably Takeru next challenger.
I hope so.
Yeah, he better be, unless they finally bring back Timur Nadrov.
They might try to make the Buaruru fight again. I don't even know how to say his name.
Buaruru.
I'll just let you say his name for me.
Yeah, I think they want to do the Buaruru fight again, which is, I really don't get why you would do that, especially since Takeru is saying he will retire like in 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, he wants to fight. He did the thing like after he won where he like cried about K1 not matching him up with good fighters or something.
Yeah, good fighter meaning Tenshin Nasukawa. There's not a lot to say it. Yeah, I think, so what was I talking about? How did I get to Takeru? Taiyo Asahisa, yeah. So he lost to, and I think he's won like 4 fights since. So yeah, he was coming up from 60 kilo to 63.5 to fight the champion on 1 week notice. And he did a brilliant job completely disrupting Hayashi's sense of distance and timing with pushes, parries, and slips. And the variety of his offense too. So he can kick. He used a lot he established the low kick, the inside low kick a lot. He's a southpaw, so rear left low kick. And until it was established, then he started slipping on the inside, and that's how he landed the scissor kick in the second round that dropped Hayashi. Then
that was sick.
Yeah, that was really great. Just a little step back, and you can see Hayashi is waiting for the middle kick because he drops his guard, and then he came right up with the scissor kick. It was great. Then I think he burned himself out trying to finish in the second and was completely out of gas by the third, but he still did really well in the third for a guy that was gassed against such a puncher like Hayashi.
Yeah, he just started to box with them basically after he dropped them after he did the scissor kick thing. He did like this weird thing where he had him on the ropes and he brought his lead leg up like he was about to throw a head kick, but he paused for a moment and it like messed up Hayashi's defense. And then after he paused with his leg in the air, he flicked it out again and hit him in the jaw with his foot. And then Hayashi right away tried to counter it, and Asahisa planted his foot and slipped outside the counter with a right hook and then dropped him again. And then after that, he basically just boxed on the inside with Hayashi. But he looked really good. I always really like those karate guys who can also box. Like, it really annoys me when I see karate guys like Raymond Daniels or Wonderboy who are kind of useless in the pocket.
No comment.
Like a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah, it annoys me a little bit too.
But I love watching guys like Asahisa, Kyoji Horiguchi, or Whitaker who do the cool karate things that I like about karate style, but they aren't just like awful in the pocket. And Asahisa was really impressive here. He was doing like a lot of the karate shifting footwork at range. He was constantly feigning in and out, going between southpaw and orthodox. But when he was doing those blitzy kind of entries with his punches, he was taking his head offline proactively, like Robert Whitaker does a lot. And he was doing a really good job countering Kenta's initial shots. So when Kenta would just come in with punches, or when Asahisa would enter with his head offline, when Kenta tried to counter him, he'd be there ready to slip outside and counter it back. When he was in deeper pocket exchanges, he had a little bit more trouble with his defense, but he was still he had really good head movement on the inside, but he was kind of lax at times, and like you said, he got a little bit tired later in the fight.
Yeah, and
was using.
he couldn't
Go ahead.
he couldn't push off of he didn't have the strength to push off Hayashi off of him, and he had to rely just on that movement and not on the parries and the pushes, and it limited what he could do in the third round.
Yeah, and he throws like so much volume too, and he moves so much that I think cardio is probably going to be a little bit of a problem for him unless he can kind of like pull his style in. Like, I think at some point he might need to make a decision about whether he wants to be like a pocket boxer or whether he wants to do the footworky karate stuff on the outside.
Yeah, but you have to keep in mind that he came in on one notice and wasn't supposed to fight on the card.
Yeah, that's true. Has he had cardio problems in other fights?
Not really that I can think of. I think if you want to go deep on him, I think you should watch his fight with Riku and Po, which is the same type of performance, which was really impressive. And yeah, I don't really recall him having so much problems with it, at least in 3 rounds fight. Maybe if he goes to an extra round, I think it's going to be a problem.
Mm.
But I don't recall him having such problem with cardios done before.
Yeah, that probably is just because he was coming in on a week's notice, and he was moving up in weight too, right?
Yeah, he was moving up from 60 kilos, so 135, I think, approximately, to 140.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I was really impressed with Asisa. When I get time, I'm gonna check out his other fights.
Have you seen his brother fight before?
Sorry, what was that?
Have you seen his brother fight before?
Who's that?
Hirotaka Asaisa.
Oh, I think I have.
He fought a lot in China in Wulingfang.
Let me see who he's fought. I know I've heard of him.
I have him like.
Yes, I've definitely seen a few of his fights.
I think he beat Gianni Fiorenti from France, who was really good. I wish Gianni Fiorenti would get a shot like in one or K1. I think he's the best fighter at 60 kilos at the moment. Really slick fighter.
I'm not familiar with. That's Gianni Fiorenti?
Yeah, Gianni Fiorenti.
Okay.
So yeah, he just lost to Zhu Shuai, who was supposed to fight in this fight.
Well, they had Zhu Shuai scheduled to fight here?
He was supposed to fight Hirotaka Kenta Hayashi.
Oh damn! I didn't know he was on the card. That would have been really cool.
He was
I'm
always.
glad we got Asahisa instead, so I loved his fight.
Yeah, and he was supposed to fight. Initially, Kenta Hayashi was supposed to fight Zhu Shuai, which was great. Then he was supposed to fight Kim Falk, which is a Swedish fighter, and I checked him out. He's not really that good. So yeah, I was really happy when they announced Asaisa replaced him.
Man, this card really got decimated by pullouts. I guess they kind of made it better. Like,
yeah, it made it better.
Fight.
Bourdon fight was a shitty fight, and I'm happy it didn't get made. It didn't get made.
Yeah.
And I think Zhu Shuai would have been at least as good a fight as Hirotaka as Taiyo Asaisa.
Oh yeah.
But I think Asaisa was a much better fight than Kim Falk.
Yeah, for sure. But was this for the title?
No, it was a super fight. It was a super fight, when they don't want to make the title on the line against a short notice guy.
Yeah, K1's titles confuse me because somebody will win a title and then they'll go like a year without defending it, and then somebody else will win the same title without him ever losing it. I don't know.
Yeah, you see, that's what happened with. But I think Yuta Murakoshi vacated the 57 kilo titles, and that's why Ego has it now. But yeah, it's really confusing. Basically, you'll get the title if you win a Grand Prix, and then you'll defend like end of the year card and Festa. Otherwise, it's just super fights.
And then, like, whenever they schedule for another fight, it's usually not a non-title fight?
Yeah, but it doesn't really change much because even their title fights are 3 rounds, which I think is stupid.
Yeah, that's really dumb. Especially in kickboxing where they have 3-minute rounds. 9 minutes isn't enough for, like, a high-level title fight.
Yeah, I think it's bullshit. I think, personally, I'd go back to... If I had my say in how kickboxing is fought, I'd go back to 90s K1 rules. When you had clinch was allowed as long as you were active. You could throw opponents. It wouldn't score points, but it was tolerated. And every non-tournament fight was 5 rounds.
I like those rules a lot better. As someone who is kind of a Thai supremacist, There's nothing in kickboxing that annoys me more than the clinch rules. God, I wanna punch the ref whenever Petchdam is fighting.
Paul Nichols is the worst. It's even worse when you're there.
Yeah. The clinch rules in kickboxing are absolute bullshit. Didn't they change that just because Bukaw was wrecking everyone, right?
Yeah, because Boakao and Semi-Shield was a big factor too. But like the mid-2000s, when you've got guys like that beat fan favorites.
Yeah.
Because Jérôme Le Banner couldn't win a tournament. And Masato was stopped for 3 years by Andy Sauer and Boakao.
Mm-hmm.
Until they changed the rules and made it a 4-man tournament, so Masato wouldn't be so burned out when he got to the final.
So Masato could win a Grand Prix.
2008 was exactly that. Like 1st January 2008, they announced Masato is winning this year.
But anyways, how about Rikiya Anpo against Fukashi? I'm a little bit familiar with Rikiya. I don't know Fukashi.
Fukashi is just a fun brawler.
Okay, so he's not like really great or anything?
No, but he's really fun.
It was a really fun fight. Rikiya was jabbing him up. I liked his power jab a lot. He was throwing it. He wasn't doing like those soft throwaway jabs that he used to like bait and drop counters. He was just lacing him with the jab. I think he rocked him with it at one point.
Yeah, I think he dropped him
also,
with
like,
the jab.
Yeah. And he was using lead leg body kicks well. He wasn't doing like the tie thing where you switch, but he would just kind of lean back and throw them right out of the stance, so they came up really quick. And whenever Fukashi got aggressive or like tried to land the right hand, he'd throw that lead leg body kick. Then he was shifting off of it, so he'd throw the body kick, plant with his lead foot into southpaw, and then throw like front kicks. I think he kind of hurt Fukashi with those a few times too. Those were landing really good. Later in the fight, Fukashi had some more success pushing him back to the ropes and trying to put like punching combinations on him, but he was also taking a lot more damage. He was eating counter right hooks consistently. I also liked Rikiya's knees a lot. He would like use the knees to keep him upright, so it'd be easier to lace him with those power jabs. I liked Rikiya's footwork in the open space, but I thought his ring craft looked a bit problematic. He's a little bit too content to sit in the ropes with a high guard, and Fukashi was
and he
able to
paid for that
do some
against
work
Kung Napa. Or
Yeah.
Gonapa, I think they call him in Japan, but it's Kung Napa. Yeah, he paid for that. I think not too much against KO, but I think it was a really good fight for Rikiya to restore his image a little bit after the KO fights.
Yeah.
But I really like when he's got the right opponent, his game of jabbing and to establish his kicking game, which is spectacular. I think it was 2 years ago when he really exploded onto the scene with I think his switch kick KO and his flying in crush against Deng Zechi, who's a really good Chinese fighter.
Yeah, a lot of these guys that were on the card today seemed pretty new. Like Rikiya Anpo has only been big for a few years. Asahisa is like 22 years old, right? And he's only been fighting for like a couple years.
Yeah, I think he's been in crush for a while, like 2 or 3 years, which is like it starts to be a lot because. But yeah, Japanese matchmakers like to throw their young guys to the fire quick.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I think. Do you remember the early career of Ren Hiramoto?
Sorry, do I remember what?
The early career of Ren Hiramoto.
Oh, yeah.
When within 5 fights they had him fighting Kimura and Masaru Glunder.
Yeah. Whatever happened to him, by the way? Like, I think he fought in Bellator recently.
Yeah, he left K1 and he signed with Bellator Kickboxing, I think, which is like a weird thing to do at the moment because.
And then they put him on like tape delay and nobody saw his fight.
Yeah, that was bullshit. and he fought like a really, really, really bad opponent.
Yeah, I've never heard of the guy. Ren used to be one of my favorite fighters, or favorite kickboxers, but he just didn't fight for like 2 years. I haven't heard anything from him.
Yeah, I don't think he fought since he beat KO.
Just the Bellator dude.
Yeah, just a Bellator guy. Ouais. Yeah. Fucking sucks because he was one of the best talents in Japanese kickboxing. I remember when he won the K1 Koshin, I think it was 2014, and even then he was like 15, and you knew he was a guy that was gonna be top 10 within 3-4 years.
Mm-hmm. He knocked Ganapar and KU out at like I don't know 17 years old.
Yeah, I think he was 18 or something like that.
Yeah, I was super impressed with him. Misaki Nori fought David Mejia. I don't know how to say that name, but
Mejia, I
it's
think.
pretty much a Mejia.
Mejia, I think. Yeah, Mejia. He's Spanish.
Okay, David Mejia. But it's pretty much a typical Nori fight. Nori walked him down with a high guard, beat up his legs. I love the knee to the legs he does, where he puts his arms up in the high guard and then gets really tight to their forearms so they can't counter him while he does it. He just straight up knees them in the thigh.
Yeah, he's the best. I think he's the best and most varied low kicker in the sport.
Yeah.
Especially his fight with Ilyas Bouleid.
I love Misaki Nori's kicking game. He's one of my favorites. He's been one of my favorites since he fought Hiroya back in you remember like that? I think it was a K1 Showtime card or something. One of the New Year's Eve things.
Yeah, I think it was Dynamite, and it was like a final of Koshin tournament. One of the first Koshin tournament. Koshin tournament is for listeners. It's under 18 tournament. I mean, they still do it. I think Takei came through it, and a lot of other fighters like Kimura Masashi, Kaneko Akihiro, fighters like that came through it. But yeah, they have a really developed an in-house amateur system.
I didn't even watch kickboxing back then, but I caught the fight because it was on like an MMA card, and Nori was doing really cool shit, and I've loved him ever since.
Yeah, I think he was like 16 by then.
Yeah, something like that. But I really like the Kyokushin style when guys are good at it. Andy Hug was great too. But just like seeing them, the way they pull off those really short range kicks, like they'll get really close, like chest to chest, and then just push the other guy off a little bit and bring head kicks up from the pocket. It's really cool to watch.
Yeah, I started with when I started training. I started with a Kyokushin, not Kyokushin directly, but a Kyokushin style derived from Kyokushin. And yeah, it's really great for because you just chest to chest because you can punch the head, and so you have to develop ways to get your kicks off to the head at really short range, and it really translates well to kickboxing.
Yeah, Kyokushin guys have a big history of success in kickboxing. I don't think there's many Kyokushin guys in MMA. I think it translates a little bit worse to that with the square style.
I can't think of many Kyokushin guys that did MMA. I think Lechik Urbanov fought Travis Fulton once, like on a Russian card, like a couple of years ago. But Travis Fulton was already shot, and Kurbanov was who is a rolling thunder specialist.
GSP used to talk a lot about how like Kyokushin karate helped him set up his takedowns, and then like hardly ever did any Kyokushin things in fights.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how legit is.
I think he just did it like for 3 years when he was like 6 years old or something.
Yeah, and I think it was one of those Kyokushin coups that give you a black belt at like 13 years old. So yeah, I never really bought that karate was such a big influence on.
I think it was just like the wrestling training that helped him be good at wrestling.
Yeah.
But Nori looked good here. He was after he established the leg kicks, like those flicking leg kicks that and when Mejia was countering them, he would like, the way Nori throws them, he doesn't do the exaggerated hip turn. He just flicks them out. So he's right there waiting with his high guard back in his stance when guys try to counter him. But he was using Mejia's reactions to the leg kicks against him. So he'd pick up his leg like he was about to kick and then shift forward and southpaw and flurry on him with body shots. And
about the leg kicks, that's another thing for Kyokushin. You're really just you're using it as a whip rather than as a bat.
Yeah.
You're just bringing the leg over and then bringing it down from an upward angle, so you can get them from once again really close range, and it's not really as hard to recover from them.
Right. Mejia was like throwing those downward chopping kicks like they tell you Thais throw in America, but it was like he was stepping so far out with his plant leg that he would step out like directly to the side, and then it made it so his kicks were chopping down, and they landed with the instep rather than like the shin, and removed any power advantage that doing the chopping thing gives you.
Yeah, that was really the physiognomy of the fight. Like you had Nori pressing up against him for like 30-45 seconds. Then he'd get off his little Meja once Nori backed off. Meja would get his little combo, but like it's like 1-2-3 into the guard, and then a low kick that lands with the foot, and then it's right back to Nori pressuring him and beating him up.
Yeah. And then as the fight went on, Nori started putting a lot more combinations on him, doing a lot of work with his left hook to the head and body, and kind of beat the shit out of him late.
Yeah, I liked when he switched to southpaw. I think that was late second round.
Mm-hmm.
And just left him a bit of space to really hammer him once more to the body, but with the left middle kick this time.
Yeah, he switched to southpaw late in the second round, and then just started like beating him up a lot more.
Yeah.
Where do you think Nori goes from here? Are there any more interesting matchups in K1 that he hasn't fought yet?
I think he's gonna fight Kubo for like the fourth time.
I want him to fight Rui.
He was supposed to. What he really wanted to do was to fight Picker to avenge his loss. But I think he said he didn't care about the title. But I think now that Kubo has beaten him, he's got a score to settle. I think it's 2-1 Kubo too.
I think so. Nori, I think Kubo beat him twice early, and then Nori beat him most recently.
Yeah, I think Kubo beats him like in 2011 at the 63 kilo GP, one of the last K1 tournaments. And then Kubo beats him at Glory 8 or 13, one in Japan.
Yeah, Glory 8.
And then Nori beat him in Crush in his next fight.
Yeah.
Great fight there. I think it just made it to YouTube, since Crush is uploading all its backlog.
And then Leona Patas versus Yuta Murakoshi. This was a fun fight. I haven't watched too much of Patas actually, but I've heard a lot about him.
Yeah, because Kara fan loves him.
Yeah. He really does look white.
Yeah, and he's another of those Kyokushin guys.
This was a good fight here. Murakoshi was basically doing it was open guard. I forget who was southpaw, embarrassingly.
It's Murakoshi.
Yeah, that's right. Murakoshi was doing like the southpaw thing where he stays like an extra step away and tries to lure you into overextending on the straight and then countering. And Patas did it like once in round 2 and got countered, and then he stopped doing it and was more careful about his entries. The first round was a little bit weird, and they didn't really do a lot of clean work, but Patas stunned Murakoshi in round 1. He stepped in with a straight, and then Murakoshi went to throw a counter hook, and Patas interrupted him with a jab, and then he swarmed on him a little bit. Patas was doing some pretty nice work with his long distance kicking. At one point, he used an inside leg kick to draw out a counter right, or counter left rather, and then slipped inside it and then landed in the zone counter straight. So I was really impressed with Patas here. And then later in the fight, Murakoshi started trying to push in deeper exchanges, and Patas was landing nice right-hand counters. He'd flip outside Yuta's rear hand and counter with his own. And then finally, in the third round, Patas caught him, interrupted him throwing I think it was a front kick, and just kind of knocked it inside, and then caught him on one foot and finished him.
Yeah, I think it's his right hand he finished him with.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, he's on a tear too. He's beaten he's KO'd Kosuke Komiyama, which is another karate guy I love. He's beaten Taiyo Asaisa twice. And he's also knocked out Zhao Chongyang, who beat Sexan in that Wuling Feng tournament, I think, that Wang Wenfeng won last year.
Yes. How do you think Patas does against Takeru? I can see that being a competitive fight.
Yeah, I think it's really a tough fight for Takeru. Because I think Leona has the height, the range to keep him at bay and not really give him so much opportunities to close the distance and hammer him to the body.
Yeah, he can compete at long range. So Takeru, I could see Takeru struggling to get his long range kicking game working, and he kind of relies on that to push guys back to the ropes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think I wouldn't be so worried for Takeru if it wasn't just 3 rounds.
Yeah.
Like it's really easy to lose 2 rounds. I think it almost happened to him against Murakoshi. I think the Murakoshi fight for Takeru should have gone to an extra round. I think he would have won it, but he should have. He really lost 2 rounds to Murakoshi, I thought. So yeah, I could really see him not get his ass kicked or anything, but being behind after 2 rounds. And I'm not sure he'd managed to hurt Petas the way he did Murakoshi.
Yeah, like you were saying earlier, I really don't like that the title fights are only 3 rounds. It's just not enough.
Yeah, it's just not enough.
It's so easy to just like you don't really do much in round 1 because it's 3 minutes long. You're just trying to feel the guy out, see what he has, and then round 2 you start to pick it up a little bit more, but you're a little bit behind, and you lose that round, and then suddenly like the fight's barely gotten started, and you need to finish to win.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of in addition to the schedule which is much more active than it is in MMA or in boxing. But I think a big part why you don't see guys stay undefeated long is also the part that if you have a bad night, you don't have 12 rounds or 5 rounds to correct it.
And it really like we don't get those fights. Like my favorite fights in MMA and Muay Thai are always the ones where you can see guys adjusting to each other. Like one guy will start doing something, and the other guy will pick up a counter tactic to like prevent that, and then the other guy will adjust to that. And you don't really get those fights in 3 rounds. It's a lot harder.
No, you just can't. I often I was talking about this just yesterday with Baba. I think it's on average you have more exciting fight in kickboxing because it's a 3 round format, so you're forced to have action right away. But you can't really live up to the greatness of a great boxing fight or a great MMA fight that's 25 minutes in just 9 minutes.
Yeah. It's another thing I've been disappointed with like modern Muay Thai. Like Golden Age, they would start early. When you watch like Wang Chinoy fights, he doesn't even let the ref like start the fight on his own. He'll just storm out and push them to the ropes right away. But nowadays, they basically take the first 2 rounds off.
Yeah, so they don't do anything, and then they clinch poorly. Yeah, it's really. I was watching Sila Patai the other day, and it's like you just really get depressed. I still love Muay Thai, but when you compare it to the Golden Era, it's really like it's not that the fighters are not as good as they were. It's just that the format of the rules now is just so much tilted towards the clinching, and negative clinching is really rewarded now.
Yeah, it's like I think a lot of the clinching stuff is that not that well. Obviously, the judges I think score like ineffective offense in the clinch a little bit too much. Like if they're landing those side knees to the ribs that don't do much. But I think a lot of it is that the refs break up the clinch so early. When you're watching Golden Age clinchers, they'll clinch for like upwards of a round, and the guys are always moving and adjusting their position and everything. But nowadays, the refs break up the clinch early enough that if you can just grab like a body lock and stall.
Yeah, or just like an overhook over the neck.
Yeah.
Like
so guys will just do that instead of trying to work out.
Yeah, Kenta does that a lot.
Yeah,
I love his lead leg. I love him when he's at distance, but like in his fight with Kupayak, he just clinch, get over the head, try to bend the guy over and wait for the ref to break them.
Yeah, and it makes for these fights where they're like constantly falling into the clinch and not like actually doing anything there. Like, almost like a glory Panorama fight with like KBO or KBN. Whatever.
Oh, fuck. We don't talk about these fights. I really like that Glory decided to act like the draw didn't happen in the last fight. And went straight to, no, he's fighting Adam Chuk. KVN, thank you. We'll see you next time we go to New York.
I really want to see him fight in Thailand, where they'll just let him clinch and then they'll just fucking dump him all over the place and knee him in the head.
Yeah, it'd be a roller coaster for him. Up, down, up, down.
The only Kevin Van Nostrand fight I've ever enjoyed. But anyways, what else was on this card? Yuta Kubo and Jordan Picour. I was surprised Yuta won this.
Yeah, I had completely buried Utah because the last few years he just wasn't motivated.
Even beyond, like, I thought it would be a tough matchup for him style-wise, but I also just, like, thought his confidence was broken too much. It's like, you see the pre-fight interviews and stuff where he's like, Sarah, please come back to me.
Yeah, and he was supposed to be sick like a week before the fight. I think he was supposed to have fever or something.
Yeah. But no, he looked good here. He was picking Picour off with the southpaw body kicks, landed some good front kicks too.
Yeah, and I really liked his slip to.
Kind of off.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I thought Picour looked kind of off. He was like, when he couldn't really do much at range, and then when he was setting up his entries, he didn't like set them up well. He was just kind of sloppily blitzing into them. And Kubo would easily read the right hand and then just slip outside and pivot away from him.
Yeah, or just clinch him if he was too close.
Yeah.
He just did him like I think he did like 6 or 7 times in the second round alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's really just that Utah drew him into a sniping match.
Yeah. And there was a few times later in the fight where Kubo got him against the ropes and teed off on his body a little bit. But mostly it was just Kubo kind of kicking him up at range and then moving away when Picour tried to attack.
Yeah, I was really surprised that that Kubo still has a vintage Kubo performance in him.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen Kubo fight like that since I think before his series of losses. I think he started in 2014. He lost like 6 fights out of 8.
Kubo's weird. Like you can't really trust him to win at all. But when he's on, he looks great.
From like 2010 to 2013, the first time he lost to Misaki, he was really the top featherweight in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he got a lot of good wins in that time. He beat Esbiri twice, I think.
Yeah, he beat Esbiri twice.
He beat Koya, didn't he?
He beat Koya, he beat Noiri twice, he beat Gabriel Varga. And he really shouldn't have lost to Yamato, which I don't mind because I love Yamato. But yeah, he was a big favorite in 2010 to win the Japan tournament before he was the victim of one of the greatest comebacks in K1 final history.
Which fight was that?
Against Tetsuya Yamato in 2010.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've seen that fight. I'll have to watch it.
Yeah, it's really
great. He was
up
and then Yamato knocked him out?
Yeah, he was up by, I think, 2 rounds and a knockdown, and Yamato knocked him out in the third.
But I was really impressed with him here. Maybe, who knows, maybe his wife will even come back to him.
Yeah. And not start doing porn. But yeah, it's really...
Sorry,
he's not even that old, I think. He's 32. So yeah, if he still has performances like that in him, I'd like to see him against Noiri again.
Yeah, that'd be a good fight. Especially just after beating Picour now.
Yeah.
What else was there on this card? I saw the, I don't know how to say this, Kato Ozawa against Jao Swayai. Sword, dead chap, fun.
Yeah.
Kato Ozawa fought a tie.
Yeah, that was the first time he fought a tie, I think.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
It was a pretty fun fight. It was kind of a back and forth brawl. The Thai was pelting his forearms with round kicks, as Thais do, but he had some nice counter left hooks. He dropped Ozawa with one of the left hooks near the end of the second round. And then it ended, I think, at the end of the second, when Ozawa did a spinning back fist, and the Thai just caught him mid-spin with a head kick.
Yeah, and cut open his lip.
Because his lip was busted up.
Yeah, I think we really saw Kaito Ozawa is fun, and he's bought himself a long employment contract with K1 with his rivalry with Takeru. But he's really too limited to be a top guy. And and his big problem is that he has no balance. His feet are always on the same line, so whenever he gets caught, he's not hurt, but he falls, and he falls from a punch, so you have to count him. And I think it's like the third time he didn't lose because of number of knockdowns this time, but I think he lost twice in tournament fights when he got knocked down twice. He wasn't really hurt, but he had to. The ref has to stop the fight because there's a two knockdown rule in tournaments.
Yeah, he's a fun fighter, but like you said, probably not going to be a real threat to anybody elite.
No, especially now that you've got guys like Toma coming up in this division. I think the era of Kaito Zawa is finished.
Yeah, he's definitely not one of the top Kaitos.
No, I think he's like maybe second worst Kaito with the one that was in the tournament.
Kato Urowencha, of course, being the best Kaito.
The top Kaito.
What else was there on this card? Oh, I almost forgot about the Musashi Kimura against Akihiro Kaneko fight.
Yeah, best fight on the card.
Yeah, that was great.
I think I had Kimura at number 3 or number 2. It was number 3 and number 2 in my rankings at 55 kilos. And yeah, I really love the Kimura's left hook. How he debuted it for the whole fight. I think that was really the biggest problem for Kaneko getting past that left hook.
The left hook was brilliant. He was landing it on the lead in combinations, doubling up to the body and head, and then when Kaneko tried to get aggressive and push into the pocket, he'd get countered with that a lot. Kimura also used his jab was really nice. He was pairing it with the left hook too, so he'd hook off the jab, and then Kaneko would be caught bringing his hand out to parry with the left hook. I thought I'd like to see Kimura mix up his jab a little bit. He had a really good stiff jab, but it was usually coming on the same kind of speed and timing. I think if he could throw some like lighter jabs just to vary it a little bit and to get guys biting on him, I think it'd improve his boxing a little bit. But he looked really good here. His kicks were nice too. He was doing the like triangle kicks where you throw a 45-degree kick like between a round kick and a front kick with your lead leg, and then land with the ball of the foot.
Mikazuki Geri in karate.
Yeah. Kaneko started being more aggressive in the last round too, and he was landing cleaner. He were throwing down a little bit, but he was also walking himself onto stiff jabs and getting smacked with counter hooks. That was a really fun fight. I think all of the fights in this card were pretty fun. It was surprisingly good.
Yeah, I think it was a really nice surprise given the expectations we had for the card coming in.
Mm-hmm. I think that's all the fights I watched here. Were there any other good ones?
I think on the prelims there's like Hikaru Asumi and Isaki Higashimoto. They're like I think they're like sub 500 fighters, but that's a really fun brawl. I think there were like 5 knockdowns.
Oh wow!
And Hikaru came back with like 7 seconds left in the last round. Really fun brawl. I don't think either guy is gonna be more than a mid-card guy in Crush, but it was fun. And there was like a prospect I had my eye on, Kyoken Jin, who was like 16 years old. He made his debut in Crush, I think a few months ago. Really good fighter, but he got nailed with a spinning back fist to the balls like 10 seconds into the fight, and he never recovered and got knocked out right after. But I still think he's got some potential.
Who was that guy?
Kyoken Jin, first fight on the card.
Oh, Kyoken Jin.
But he's like, yeah, he's fuck. 2003.
That's like one of those crafty veteran moves. Like you're not going to get penalized for it the first time you do it, so just might as well get a win. Like, did you see Uriah Hall's fight with Natal, where Natal just like storms out right out of the gate and kicks him in the balls like 3 seconds in?
What was the fight? I think Hirotaka Urabe against that German guy who beat him in the rematch. He lost to.
I don't think I saw that one.
Yeah, a few years ago, Hirotaka Urabe, when he was champion in K1, just after he beat Koya, he fought a guy named, I think his name was Johannes Wolf.
Johannes Wolf?
Yeah, that's the guy. A Wako champion in the amateurs. So really full contact guy, really side on, really old school American style. Lots of side kicks. And I think it surprised Hirotaka the first time. And the second time, once he lost, he just like low kicked him all the time, which is what you should do against a full contact guy. But whether they landed on the thigh or in the balls was the other guy's problem. But Hirotaka is a bastard. I think it's why he won against Koya, because he's been. I really think Koya is just not as comfortable with knocking the fuck out of his brother than Hirotaka is.
I can't even imagine that. They fought like twice, right?
Yeah, they fought twice, and they almost fought 3 times because they were in the same tournament a few years later.
Man, that's wild. Imagine being their mother and like sitting in the crowd and watching your kids beat.
Yeah, and K1 was filming them all the time for the rematch.
They were crazy fights too, right? Like they were going at it.
Oh yeah, that was fight of the year that year. I think in the first match isn't that competitive because Hirotaka had really struggled to make the finals, and he was just spent when he got to the finals. And Koya just tried to low kick him to make him quit, but he wouldn't. And in the rematch, they fought in a super fight, and Koya was really kicking his ass at the start, but just not really pushing to finish him once he got him hurt. I think he dropped him once or twice. And then Hirotaka caught him with a flying knee at the end of the second. And Hirotaka had no problem knocking him out.
He didn't have any problem.
Yeah, and I think I remember a guy telling me it was fixed. And I said, if it was fixed, the real bastards to not have told their mother. Because she was destroyed in the stands.
Oh, God. Yeah, if I was going to fix a fight with my brother, I would definitely choose to do it by having us beat the complete shit out of each other and then finishing him brutally.
With flying knees.
That's the way you want to fix a fight. But I also watched a little bit of the Crush card, Crush 112.
Yeah.
Who was the Toma? Toma's like 17 years old, isn't he?
I think he just turned 17.
He just recently had his 17th birthday. So there's this 17-year-old prospect, Toma. He fought Namito Izawa. I'm not familiar with Izawa, but I heard he's pretty decent.
Yeah, he's a solid Crush veteran. Yeah, I think he's got like 40 fights. And he's like 30-10. He's fought... who has he fought? And he was on a good streak too. I think he only lost to top guys. I think maybe he lost to Kimura.
And Toma just completely steamrolled him. He like knocked him down 3 times in like 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, I was expecting Toma to win because I've been on him since like his first fight when he beat Takahito Niimi, who's really a really solid prospect too. And I expected Toma to win, but I didn't expect him to just steamroll him like that.
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen him fight, and he looked amazing.
He's so complete.
His lateral movement is insane. He was doing like Lomachenko footwork where he was constantly pivoting and shifting off the center line. And then when Izawa turned, he would get smacked. I loved his jab too. He was using like that rapid fire non-committal jab to blind Izawa. So he'd flash the jab in his head, get him guarding high, and then hit the body and throw combinations. And when he was shifting, like switching stances, he did a pretty good job of like covering his shift. So when you shift just like in front of the other guy, you're off balance and out of your stance for a moment, and they can just like hit you. But Tomo would flash the jab in his face to blind him and make him cover up before shifting. Or he'd do something like shift off kicks where he'd throw the lead leg body kick and then step back into southpaw when he planted his leg off it. There were a few times where he did like naked shifts, just switching stances in front of him, which could be a problem against like a good counterpuncher, but he's like 17, so he'll learn he'll probably like start pairing his game back and learn when it's okay to switch stances and like how to keep himself safe when doing that. But he looked insane.
Yeah, and he's got really great knees. I don't remember if he showed them really in that fight, but he's got really great knees too. So yeah, he can do it all. He can strike from southpaw from orthodox, and he really fights like a guy who's got like 40 fights and not 5.
Yeah, that's like, how do you? When I look at a guy like that, he's 17 years old. Like, what the fuck am I doing with my life?
Yeah, I've been doing this for 15 years. And that guy is 17, he's got 5 fights. It's depressing, really. But yeah, he's really, I think he's the best prospect with the guy in Rise who recently lost to Masahiko Suzuki, Tokitamaru, who's also 18 or something like that. I think those are the two best young talents coming up in Japanese kickboxing. And there's a lot of talent in Japanese kickboxing.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely going to start following Toma after this. He looked amazing.
Yeah.
How great would it be if everyone was like debating Tenshin versus Takeru like forever, and then Toma just comes up and beats them both before they ever fight each other?
Yeah, I think it could happen.
Or Patas. Really, I'd be happy with anybody beating Tenshin and Takeru. So just so fans would stop.
You're evil. I've been waiting for Tenshin Takeru for how long now? 4-5 years?
I've just accepted that it's never going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, unless Rise or K1 collapses, it's not happening anytime soon.
Who do you think would win if they fought?
I think Takeru, but I've switched a lot. Earlier, I thought Tenshin would beat him, but now that Takeru has moved up like two weight classes, and at 60 kilos he's still big, he can still take punches, and he still punches as hard. Whereas Tenshin, he just went down to 56 kilos, so I think it's like, what's 56 kilos in pounds? 121, 122?
God, I have no idea.
I think it's 122, super one-time weight in boxing, something like that. And where Takeru, I don't think he could ever go down below 135 anymore.
Yeah.
I think it give a lot of trouble to Takeru, but ultimately Takeru would get him to the ropes and just beat the shit out of him towards the end of the fight.
I think Takeru would get countered a lot on the way in, but I don't think Tenshin's prepared to handle those like messy exchanges. Like he likes really clean punching exchanges where he can cleanly slip outside a punch and counter it and then get out. But if Takeru's in there just like beating his body and spamming punches at him, not sure he'll be able to keep up with that.
Yeah, I don't think he'd keep up with the body work too.
Yeah, Takeru's my pick for now, but Takeru is getting up there in age. Maybe Tenshin's doing the Mayweather thing where he's just waiting for him to get old. And then he'll swoop in and sign with K1.
Yeah. Takeru is what, 47 now? I'm signing with K1.
I think so. Something like that.
So someone says.
But I also saw the Kaisei Kondo fight on the Crush card. I have no idea who he was fighting, but his opponent was basically just throwing body kicks, and he was only throwing them to the closed side, so Kondo could just step inside and like punch him when he did it.
Yeah,
it wasn't a great fight.
It wasn't great. But
if you're like starved for violence because of all the quarantine, then you might as well watch it.
Yeah, but the only thing I can say about Yamagiwa is that he looks a bit like Masaki Satake. Otherwise, I don't know anything about him.
Oh my god, he does.
He does, he really does. But yeah, I looked a bit at his record and he's like just crush fodder. So a lot of
guys. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys like that in Crush where if they're fun enough, they can be like 7 and 15 and they'll still get calls.
Yeah. Then you showed me a couple fights earlier this week. I don't know what promotion it was, but Vasily Semenov and Artem Pashporin and Zora Akopian fought some dude.
Yeah, he fought Vladislav Ukrainets.
Yeah, this guy like took his country as his last name instead of like ties where they take.
I don't even think he's Ukrainian. I think he's Russian.
Oh really? Oh, yeah. That's ironic.
So yeah, it's Fair Fight. It's a fairly new promotion in Russia. I think the biggest fight there was when Pashporin fought Yodwisha last year.
I was really impressed with Akopian here. This is the first fight I've seen of him. He's a prospect, right? So he's relatively new.
Yeah, I think he's like 23, and he really came up in the scene this year when he won a Tatnev Cup at 70 kilos. Tatnev Cup.
I really need to start watching the Tatnev Cup thing.
Yeah, it's really. I think it's appointment viewing for anyone looking for prospects in kickboxing. Because
Zora looked really good here. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Tatnev Cup it's a Russian promotion that they just do event in Kazan in Russia, and they've been doing for a decade now, and they just have lightweight, more or less middleweight and heavyweight tournaments with 16 fighters a year. And And yeah, they've been good and I think the guy who does the matchmaking for them, I don't know his name or anything about him, but I think they've got the best scouts in kickboxing, because every year, and despite their guys getting signed elsewhere, they get a good tournament that's really good. I think there's guys that fight in Glory or K1 that wouldn't get past the quarters on a good year of Tatneft.
Oh wow. Askarov came up in Tatneft, didn't he?
Askarov
I forget his first name.
Askarov fought in Tatneft, but he was already a bit established. But Ulyanov in Glory, the featherweight who fought Adam Shuk not long ago.
I'm a big fan of Ulyanov.
Yeah, he won Tatneft in 2016, I think. Shingiz Alazov fought in Tatneft a little bit. And Artem Levin started in Tatneft Cup.
Oh wow.
He beat.
I will start watching that.
Yeah, he beat Dimitri Shakuta, who is a great welterweight, and he beat the shit out of him. I think that's the worst loss Shakuta ever took, and I think it's the most impressive performance of Levin's career.
Zora looked really good here. I don't know who this Vladislav Ukranets guy is. Didn't look that good, but Zora he'd pressure behind the high guard and then kill him with left hooks. He had a really good counter left hook, and he was landing it in combination too. And then I think early in round 2, he just kind of came forward and smashed him with a left hook to the body.
Yeah, that's what happened. I think that was a rematch. I think Akopian beat him by decision earlier that year in I think it was the quarters or the 16th of the Tatneft Cup. But yeah, Ukranets is not a bad fighter, but he's like a local Russian guy that I don't see going so far beyond the national level. But yeah, Akopian I think is my. If Toma wasn't there, I think he'd be my best prospect from last year.
And then in the main event, Vasily Semenov and Artem Pashporin. I haven't heard of Semenov before. I'm familiar with Pashporin, but Semenov just kind of whomped him with a big overhand in the second round. It was kind of a messy fight before that. They were doing like a lot of shifting stuff, and Semenov would like pick up his leg like he was about to throw a kick, and then shift forward with combinations. And then when he knocked him out, he caught him with that. He like raised his leg like he was about to kick, and Pashporin tried to counter with a left hook, and then just got killed by the overhand.
Yeah, it's a really impressive win for Semenov. I didn't really know him either, but yeah, really impressive because Pashporin doesn't get knocked out very often.
Yeah,
I think he got knocked out by Amisha, the welterweight from Glory, but even then it was like he got caught with a left hook to the body and he couldn't recover. It's not like he got sparked to the head.
Me and Danny Martin are big fans of Amisha.
Misha, I really wish we didn't have the third fight between Murtel and Cedric Doumbé. I think I really wish we'd see Doumbé against Amisha before he leaves for MMA.
Yeah, Amisha's doing it. Oh, Doumbé's doing MMA.
Yeah, he's doing MMA and he's like.
Is he actually like committing to it? I heard that he was thinking about it, but I didn't know it was going to be like an actual thing.
He's been training for it for like 2 years now.
Huh. I heard that Alex Pereira was supposed to like fight on the Dana White Contender show.
Yeah, Pereira before he became champion in Glory, he was already fighting in Glory, but he had like 2 MMA fights in juggle fights, and then he was supposed to fight in the Dana White Contender series. I think that was a Brazilian edition or something, and Glory paid him, so he didn't go.
Man, I'm torn between like wanting kickboxers to come over and beat up all the MMA fighters to show that Muay Thai and kickboxing is way better than MMA, but I also just kind of want them to stay in kickboxing.
No, yeah, just want them in
kickboxing is better than MMA.
Yeah, I'd prefer to keep them in kickboxing. Every time for like now 10 years, I've heard about like, yeah, Tyrant's not coming to MMA. Fuck off. Get your own fighters.
The Thais do. Just have full careers in kickboxing, and then when they're past it and can't be the best anymore, just go clean up the MMA fighters.
That'd be great.
I'm glad we at least have one guy that's dunking on all the MMA fighters, though. Even if I loved his kickboxing career.
Yeah. As soon as he was the champion, I forgave him. But if he didn't win the title, I would have been pissed.
Yeah, if he'd done all that just to get like dumped on his face by Romero or knocked out by Whitaker.
Yeah,
race, but no.
I gave up Artem Levin for that.
What's going on with Levin, by the way? I haven't heard much from him.
I think he's fought like a couple of months ago, but mainly I think he sparred with Romero for the Adesanya fight.
Yeah, I heard that.
But
it was like, did he just stand in front of Romero doing nothing the whole fight? Like,
no, I think he must have really fucked him
what were
up.
they preparing him for?
I think he must have really fucked him up, and that's why Romero wouldn't
made
do
him
anything.
completely hesitant.
Yeah, I think that might have happened.
Every time I punch this kickboxer, I get killed.
Yeah, but I'll just not punch. But yeah, I don't mind some fighters going to MMA, like Brad Riddle, for example. I really like Brad Riddle.
That's a really good one.
He's a really good fighter, but I don't feel like I'm missing out on something historic in kickboxing by him switching to MMA. And he's really good enough
to
the
MMA game really well too. Like he's not the type that's just going to get grappled by everybody. He's built like a wrestler.
Yeah. He's just built like Chad Mendes a bit.
Was there any other interesting kickboxing fights this week or the past couple weeks?
I think in fair fight there was one more. Let me get the card. It was Maxim Petkevich, who's a training partner of Zora Kopian. And he fought Alexander Ten. I think that was a rematch too. I really like his style, really Belarusian Muay Thai. Lots of little foot sweeps to set up I think he at one point he did a little rear leg for foot of 10 left foot to set up a left middle kick of his own. Lots of little stuff like that. Good jab. And just another fighter from Gridin Gym was really good. I think Gridin Gym in Belarus is really the best gym in. It's got a case for the best gym in kickboxing.
Are all the Belarusian fighters coming out of there?
No, there's two big gyms in Belarus. There's Chinook, who's the first gym of Gridin, the coach of Gridin Gym, and there's another one where with like Andrei Kulebin, Shakuta when he was still fighting, and I think it's SK Kick Fighters or something like that. But it's the two big gyms. It's the Meljiro and the Shakuriki of Belarus, which is the most underrated kickboxing country, I think.
Yeah, Belarus has always had a pretty big kickboxing presence, but I don't think they really do much in other combat sports. Got to think all their top talents going into kickboxing.
Yeah, I think so because I can't really remember any MMA fighter or boxers from. But they fight a lot in amateur Muay Thai and amateur kickboxing, WAKO tournaments and EFMA tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Generally, if you look at the medalist from WAKO, whether it's in full contact or low kick or K1, so there are three rule sets of kickboxing, or EFMA medalist, it's in EFMA you've got Thais, Russians, Ukrainians, and Belarusian fighters.
Well, I'm glad that in these trying times we have Japanese kickboxing and that random Russian promotion willing to disregard all health and safety and put on fun events. And by the way, if you're one of the guys that was staying up till 3 a.m. and like watching the stream on a VPN, I heard that like 6 people contracted coronavirus over the stream, so you might want to get checked out.
I think that's their first case from the Netherlands, but really no, it's irresponsible from K1. Seriously, I'm happy because I get to watch kickboxing, but they really should have cancelled it.
Yeah, I don't want there to be nothing on, but at the same time, yikes.
I've got enough. We just did a rewatch of the 2004 World Max and 2006 World Max. I've got enough fighting on YouTube to keep me busy with stuff I haven't watched. To not need live kickboxing during a pandemic.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to start roping my fight site colleagues into watching like Golden Age Muay Thai and have them on to talk about like Wang Chinoy and all the other guys, Sam Hart and everyone.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Baba to watch 80s Full Contact American kickboxing because we need to go to do an episode on that. But I really like. I have the reputation to not like American kickboxers, but it's really because I'm disappointed with what's become of American kickboxing.
You like the good American kickboxers, the ones that aren't bad?
Yeah, the ones that are retired. But yeah, I think it's really good style. It's just really a shame that because early on the Americans invented a style of kickboxing, so full contact karate, with Joe Louis, Bill Wallace, Benny Urquidez, all those guys, culminating with someone like Rick Rufus, which I think is really the epitome of the American style. In all its good and bad, because he couldn't stop a low kick to save his life.
And the elite guys in the early days, they were pretty successful in like actual kickboxing, weren't they?
Yeah, there was Benny Urquidez did well against Japanese fighters, though he never fought Toshio Fujiwara, who was the best. But you've got guys like Maurice Smith, who was really the first great heavyweight kickboxer and fought exclusively in low kick rules. And even Don Wilson did alright, but he fought guys that were much smaller than him.
Maurice Smith was like the first introduction MMA fighters had to kickboxers being better than them.
Yeah, and I think he doesn't get enough respect either as an MMA fighter or as a kickboxer. People don't know enough about Maurice Smith.
His fight with Coleman was like one of those kind of like meta changing performances where if you watch it nowadays, it's not good MMA or anything, but like just that somebody who's a pure striker could use a defensive guard to just avoid getting crushed on top by a guy like Coleman. It was pretty revolutionary back in the day.
Yeah, and even if I watched it like a few years ago, but like in the 2000s, something like that. And if you really put yourself in the context of the era and remind yourself that at this time, no striker ever beat a wrestler of the caliber of Coleman.
Yeah,
it's really not that boring if you keep that in mind.
Mm. I think that about wraps it up for today. Do you have anything else you want to bring up or anything to promote?
I think my piece on Bloody Elbow might not be on the front page anymore, but I wrote something about the death of Branko Cikatic, the first K1 champion, and one of the best cheaters of all time. So you can go see that on Bloody Elbow. Otherwise, if you speak French, I have a podcast called Au bord du ring that I do with my good friend Baba, which we might see on this podcast once he's got more time. And
if you don't speak French, I mean, I get all my ideas from listening to Au bord du ring and just assuming what I think you're saying because I don't speak French.
So yeah, I think that sums it up for today.
All right, awesome. It was great talking to you, Lucas. Thanks for coming on. Sorry, Luca.
Thanks, no problem.
Still, like,
I let it slide with English speakers. My name is
I appreciate that.
No problem.
See you. We're dumb and bad at saying things.
Their hands and feet and balls and knees. This is an art of boxing you would all love to learn. Ooh-ah. Small, no need to fear. Stride right and left with your own bows and with your knees. Now suck them hard with your soul and then kick out and on.